Good morning, retail traders. Welcome to the Sneaky Snake trading strategy. Hit that like, subscribe, and hit that notification button, and you'll get my future updates. Right now, I'm working on just started a new options challenge last Friday, and I'm up $138 cash on it on the first day out, which I think is pretty good. I started with 2,000. So I'm going to bring you the stocks today. We're going to talk about the indices and see if I see anything else that I've been watching. But basically, I want to bring you the indices today. And the first one we're going to talk about is going to be the SPY. Now, I've been calling out this Darvas box as a resistance and a support channel in my trading strategy. And we had the three black crows right before it. And I'm going to go ahead and draw them in real fast. Box them in. We got the three black crows right here. I called this here reversal pattern right here, and we ran all the way to the 200. First, we had to break this Darvas box. Go ahead and draw that line right there. Bring it down to the bottom of that body of that candle. We had a triple top breakout, and it pulled right back to the top of that Darvas box. So that's going to be our resistance line. We're going to draw that in. Right there. It's almost to the bottom of that candle. And then we're going to do the same thing right down here, which is the bottom of this candle right in here. Hit the wick of that there candle for confirmation on the three black crows. That's going to be our box that we want to stay in. Now, I talked about once we hit the top of that resistance level on that Darvas box that we would pull back in a previous video, and that's what we did. 2 days later, we pulled back and had that real hard sell-off, and then we had that Friday. And that Friday kept us back inside of the Darvas box, which brings us back to the resistance levels. But I did call back to hit the bottom of that box, maybe channel out to the right for about a week or two, and then have the nice little breakout to the upside to the 200 SMA. And that's going to happen after the election. We're going to probably come back up here and hit the top of that 390 area again, and then come back and consolidate maybe halfway, and then go ahead and for the third time, we'll ring it up and we'll break out. And you could almost count this here as the first and the second time it hitting that top. So who knows? We could have us right after the election, if we break this 51 EMA that's on the daily time frame, that's going to be our solid resistance. Now that resistance level is the pivot point inside of this Darvas box. So we're going to draw that in too. And that's going to be right about in here. Right at 381.57. You see it barely touches that 51 EMA. And all about my strategy is about looking for chart patterns, looking and using the moving averages as a support and resistance levels with the chart patterns themselves and candlestick patterns. So we did have a nice little long-legged doji right here. A hangman or something spinning top, but this is definitely a long leg, and she become bullish at the end of the day, run it all the way up from that bottom down here. And I mean, that was one heck of a sell-off that we had on Friday. I got caught in, first I traded it, and then I got caught in it. We got caught, I took the trade right in here, and then I averaged down 2 more times, bought that last one real good right here at 22 cents, and then run it up and got out at resistance level, and she kept going and going and going, and I would have had a heck of a trade if I'd have held on to them calls. I'd have made a good grand off that trade. But for right now, we're going to use that pivot point. We're going to use this here as your low support, the 373.37. Let me go back in here again, back to that daily. I just want to look at one more thing. So 381.57 is going to be the resistance that we got to get to today, or that 51 EMA on the daily time frame, if she decides to go ahead and run on up and break out. Now if she pulls back, I need her to hold that 370, 370 area, and that'll keep us within that Darvas box, and that'll keep us still bullish in the trade. We're going to look at the daily now, the 1 minute, and that's a nice little pivot point, but I'm going to raise it up just a little bit to the bottom of this right in here, and that's what we're going to call today a support level. And I'm going to just shock this right over. Well, we'll put it right in here for now. This is what I want to hold today, that 374 area. $374.03. Your first support level is going to be right here at the bottom of this here, inside of this here pattern, which is right around the 375.47 area. And then your first support is going to be right here, right above the 200 SMA on the daily 1 minute. So I got 1, 2, and then the third support channel right down here at the bottom. You can stop these at any time and write these numbers down if you like. First, second, third support, and resistance to break will definitely be the double top that we had here pre-market at 377.88. And if we bust past that, we think we could get up here to that 390 area or 380 area. And that's going to be the SPY. So we got election day coming tomorrow. So I think the market's really waiting for the response of that. If GOP wins, we might have a good rally. And if Brandon wins, we might just keep going the same direction we've been going with a lot of good volatility. But the volatility is still going to be in the market anyway due to pow and the job numbers that we had Friday. This is a reaction to them job numbers. They were good, and so they just went ahead and shorted the market after we had that initial pop. And today we might have a little pullback and then a pop and try to break this double resistance at 377.88. That's some good tea, man. Just made me some chai tea. Been drinking a lot of that here lately. Cutting back on my coffee intake. The next one we're going to look at is going to be the SPX. Pull up the daily. We had a nice, same kind of pattern. I mean, this was one heck of a Friday. I mean, it had me going all day long. This sell-off, I got stuck in the SPY, and I didn't know what to think. And then this pattern here was kind of descending. But once we squeezed, and I was watching it real close, I was wanting it to break that 65 and that EMA, and it never could do it. And it seemed like it just went on forever. I was in this trade for 3 hours, and then finally we had it to the upside and I got out of it. And then I wish I'd have held on. I'd had one heck of a day Friday if I'd have held on to all them calls. This was on the SPX that I had in my personal account. So support level is going to be right in here. We got a yin yang at 37.58. It has the same kind of pattern as a SPY did. You got the 3 black crows, you got the Darvas box, and the Darvas box stopped right here at resistance level like I called it out, and we did have the pullback, and it did overextend a little bit, but it found support on the bottom of that Darvas box, and we're going to draw that line in there, and we're going to draw the resistance line right here. And I've got some supports already, some alerts already set for this trade. Probably have to get rid of them. Put some new ones in here. In fact, I will. Get rid of them babies. And the pivot point inside of the Darvas box, I'm going to adjust it a little bit to right around 38.34.64. So let's see where we are on the 20-day 1 hour. So right now we're just barely busting above that Darvas box. If we can gain respect of that, that'll be really substantial. If not, we could pull back to this previous resistance level, and that's what we're going to call out today for support at 37.48.27. And that's the bottom of that candle too, so that's a double confirmation. and you got the 21 and the 9 holding this thing up. But we do have a crossover of the 9 over the 21. That's the 9 EMA and the 21 SMA. So it should go ahead and hold that support level and run on up and hit this 51, which will be your next resistance level. And we're going to bring it up just a little bit to right about in there at 37.91.92. And if that breaks, we can take it higher and run it up to the next resistance level. And that's going to be right there at 3800.07. With a long, let's go back to the top of that Darvis box and color this thing in. I want to be sure, and then I want to color in that pivot point area, which is right here. And that'll make it a hard resistance. Pivot point, if you don't know what a pivot point is an equilibrium of a stock that's going to tell you if it's either going to go up or if it's either going to fall back below that resistance level and fall down into a support. And if you're above that pivot point, it becomes a support. And if you're below that pivot point, it becomes a resistance to break. So it's a final decision on which way the stock wants to go. I call it the equilibrium of a channel, or at least you can find a pivot point on the yearly chart, which that would be right up in here. On the SPX, your pivot point on this yearly would be at 41.69.03, because you have downward process right here, and then you have an upward process right here, which gives it an equilibrium, and that would be your pivot point. I've been studying charts for over 19-20 years, so I kind of know just by looking at them which direction we might be heading. And right now, with this long leg doji that we got to the upside, we can gain respect and start to bounce up and start moving across these moving averages. Remember, that pivot point is at 38.37.60 for today. And if we break that, we can go long to the top, and we're going to adjust this. You're going to adjust it to 3,900. We're going to turn that into blue. Then that will remind me of these two candles right here. That'll be your hard resistance to break. Just a little bit below that 39.13, which is the top of that Darvis box. So we got the IWM next. We got an election coming up, so we got to be very cautious, and then we'll know exactly what the market's going to run. If it's GOP win, the market will definitely like a divided government through what we've been through here lately. And if it's Brandon win, we can expect a lot more volatility, a lot more printing. So this is the IWM. We're going to clean it up also. It's the same kind of pattern. I mean, this is the same kind of pattern with a stronger move. Because this one here, we almost hit that 200 again. And that's way above the Darvis box. So we're definitely broke above the Darvis box and the three black crows. And this thing can easily pull back to the 21. If it does, I mean, that's going to be a very strong buy down there off the 21 EMA. And if it does go ahead and break out, we're going to have that resistance level. We got two of them actually. It could be the 200 SMA, or it could be done like this. We'll take and draw that line from right here to right there. And that's going to be your resistance level. We'll move that to the right. And that's just right below that 200 SMA, right about 185. So the top of the Darvis box, we're going to draw a resistance line there, or a support line, wherever it lies. That's going to be 177.11, and that's, come on, man. 177.11 is going to be your first support, and then your second support is going to be right down here on the bottom of this, top of this crow, which would be right around 173 173.65 to hold, and that'll show a lot of respect because you got that 21 right there. So if it does pull back to 173.65, I see a good strong buy on this trade. We definitely hit the top of the resistance and pulled back like the other indices, and if we just create a box and go sideways, we could eventually break this 200 SMA and run it up to the next resistance level. Now this is on the daily time frame. So let's pull it up on the 1 minute. I see a solid support right here off the 200 SMA. We bounced off of it this morning, and then she went ahead and broke out. So we're going to use that same right about in here, I think, for your low support today to hold at 178.04. If that holds, she'll definitely run back up here, find some resistance level of the previous high that we had on Friday. And that will be your first support. And then your resistance to break will be the top of the candles here at 179.61. And then we could run up and double top in a 24-hour period, and then maybe have another pullback. But I want to see us go sideways in all these indices. The QQQ has been the toughest one of all. It's not really done very well at all. It'll have its day, but for right now it has not done very well. But Friday we had a nice little bounce, and it could be its turn right now. We definitely have a resistance level up here on the QQQ at 265.96. It's double top resistance right in here. People ask me, why don't you go ahead and run it up to the top of that candle right there? Well, the sneaky snake trading strategy is based on candlestick patterns, and we use the body. I use the body of the candle. So if I magnify this up, we got a double confirmation right here, and then I'd take it long, and I'd say maybe your high on that would be 266.35, and that would be a double top. Notified that the wick hit that body of that candle, and it'd run on up. But for right now, that 265.96 is your solid resistance to break. Next support level is going to be your low right here. So we're going to draw a trend line right there and that's really, we broke that this morning. Then your next support is going to be this previous high that we had on Friday. And that equals limber to this here channel right here. And then your low support to hold today, we're going to be right in here at 362.76 with a bottom line support. And if we get below that, 262.21, we could get in for another day like we had on Friday. Then we'd have to look for these two other bottoms down here on the QQQ. But this has been the hardest one of all to trade. And I would probably lay off of it a little bit, just let it pull on back, and then try to catch it at support. Now notice that DWAC was running this morning. I heard that President Trump might be throwing his hat into the ring. We had a nice little pop on it this morning when the news came out, and we're going to use that 200 SMA on the daily 1 minute time frame for a support level. Rum is also another one of the conservative social medias. It had a pop on it too, so we'll be watching rum. I got a good eye on Apple. We definitely pulled back on Apple this morning, hit my solid support. If it pulls back any more, that'd be a double bottom. I think we could run this back up and try to break the 200 and then get back above, and today's resistance on Apple will be 138.46. Now Boeing, there were a lot of good trades Friday. If I'd have caught them bottoms on every one of them, that was a hard sell-off on everything that I watch. Everything. I mean, I would have shit my pants if I got stuck in this trade here Friday. But again, it ran right back up into close. I mean, I was freaking out. I've been watching this market for 20 years, 19 years. I've never seen anything like this before. I have, but I mean, it was just, everything was just pulled back. Like somebody just The big fat cats were making a ton of money Friday. Ton of money Friday. I was very impressed. And I couldn't go back and look at everything that I wanted to trade. Tesla the same way. I mean, Tesla, if I'd had enough sense to take this trade on the pullback, I called this trade out at open, and we bounced it up to a double top, and then nothing but a sell-off, a real hard sell-off on this thing. And we were at 224. This pulled back 20 bucks. I mean, this wasn't nothing compared to what it used to run. We used to run this thing up 60, 80 to $100 a day. And that time's coming. But right now, I'm definitely going to have this one on watch today. If we start to get any resistance, if we break this 210.55 area today, I think we can start running it back up to that 217, 218 area. Somewhere back up in here, right around 217.55. If not, we'll have us a double bottom play here at 205.78, and that'll be the shoulder line of this here pullback. So there's a lot of good opportunity out there. If we consolidate and have a flat day today, that's going to be good. They're just waiting for the election results, and that could have been probably part of this right here of what happened on Friday. I'm not for sure, but I know the fat cats really willed it in. So that's it for the Sneaky Snake trading strategy. Please follow Washboard Jim's Option Challenge live on YouTube today. And we also have a chat room if you want to join it. So that's it. Retail traders, have a great day.